Presented from the iShin Broadcast Studio at Babcock's Media.
Welcome to another episode of Professional Car Washing and Detailing's Executive Spotlight. I'm Kyle Alexander, and joining me today is Jim Dvorak with Mothers. Hey, Jim, thanks for chatting with me today.
Thanks for having us, Kyle. I appreciate your interest in our products.
Yeah, and I know it's early where you're at. We're recording this early in the morning, so thank you for taking the time on an early morning to come talk with me today. We're talking a little bit about paint protection and restoration today. So my first question, Jim, when someone is standing in front of a vehicle, that's maybe seen better days, or maybe the paint's looking a little rough and needs some restoration, what's the first thing that they should be looking at before they even touch the paint on the vehicle?
Well, you want to inspect the overall vehicle surfaces, any areas that are of concern to the customer. You also want to understand the customer's expectations uh, along with their budget, what their needs are. Are they just trying to fix up the car to sell it, or are they into it long term? That has a lot to do with how they want to protect their investment and how much they might want to spend on that. So you can help them protect their biggest investment next to a house.
Absolutely.
So you might want to do paint meter readings to ensure you have enough clear coat to work with. That can also determine the level of correction that they may be able to safely achieve.
I mean, a lot of detailers now are starting to put paint correction, protection and restoration kind of as its own standalone service. So what's the key to doing a proper assessment on a vehicle so you can set the right expectations for paint protection and restoration with a customer before any of the work begins?
So you're going to get up close and personal. You might wipe it down with a waterless wash or instant detailer just to get some of the dust off, so you can get a little better look at what is hiding below the surface dirt. Look at the trim, look at various components, including the finish on the wheels, just to make sure everything is in good condition. Year, make, and model and color have a lot to do with vehicles, how many miles are on it, because that can indicate an acceleration of wear and tear, maybe rock chips on the hood. That might change the approach as to how you compound, polish, and ultimately protect that finish.
I want to talk a little bit too about just how much is happening in kind of the protection side of detailing. You've got ceramic coatings, sealants, traditional waxes, all of these different, options now that detailers and car washers can kind of work with. So with all of these options available in paint protection and restoration, how do you see this part of the industry creating revenue opportunities for detailers and car wash operators right now?
Well, all the newer advancements, sometimes it takes a little education to familiarize the customer with what their options are. People still don't often understand what a ceramic is. They know it costs a lot of money, but you might have to educate them as to the payoff, especially if it's a new car. It's a nice idea to protect it before it gets any kind of damage. You also have paint protection film that is getting broader uh, acceptance, and a lot of the shops are now learning to do that and offering it for their customers. Paint protection film is a great option for a lot of customers who want the natural color of the paint to shine through, as opposed to, say, a vinyl wrap, which is a lot more time intensive and takes a little bit more expertise, but you can still offer protection of that type of vinyl wrap with just a clear paint protection film.
Now, Jim, obviously there's a big difference between someone, that deals their own car in their driveway on a Saturday and then a professional, that runs through dozens of vehicles per day. What do people who are detailing their cars and trying to do some paint protection and restoration work, what do they get wrong most often when it comes to, this topic? And what's the fix?
Well, oftentimes something as simple as paint decontamination, which traditionally for the consumer has been a clay bar. I talk to a lot of consumers that still have not heard of clay bars, even though we pioneered that in the consumer realm about 25 years ago. So that's a great way to remove particulates like pollens, brake dust, any kind of environmental fallout that doesn't wash off, but is still bonded to the paint, yet it can be safely removed with a clay bar process.
The professional and car washing and detailing industries, kind of like we talked about earlier, they're growing fast. You've got all these different products coming out for paint protection and restoration. And you've got more people treating paint protection, kind of like we talked about earlier, as a standalone service, a premium service. It's not just an add on anymore when it comes to detailing and cleaning cars. You mentioned a couple questions ago, too. You've got all these new products. What advancements kind of do you expect to see in the paint protection and restoration space moving forward?
Well, at Mothers, we're always aiming to develop products that are easier to use and that the protection lasts longer. And that's, I think, with the industry as a whole. It certainly involves paint protection films that are becoming easier to use, self healing, and last longer, and products that work to protect those films. That's something that we're always developing.
Awesome insight, Jim. Thanks for talking to me about paint protection and restoration and about mothers a little bit. One last question I like to ask all of our guests. Is there any extra information maybe we didn't hit on that you'd like to add about mothers or paint protection and restoration?
Thank you so much for having me, Kyle. We really appreciate the opportunity, and certainly keep an eye out for new products and processes that'll help you provide the better service to your customer for the best value and longest lasting protection.
Awesome, Jim. Thanks again for joining me today. And thank you for watching this episode of Professional Car Washing and Detailing's Executive Spotlight. We'll see you next time.